No,
Okay.
I don't.
Well, then you're confused. Okay. Because my position is that a proposition or a fact will have to have an ultimate context to explain its existence because it will be considered to be a derivative, contingent, and dependent, or not. Okay, if not, then the only other way it could be is that it is uh, metaphysically primary, self-contained, and unconditionally non-derivative and dependent, non-dependent. That is okay.
Well, I agree there needs to be something for a fact to be a fact, but presuppositions are things that ages do.
Yeah, well,
A
you don't
proposition
get hung
doesn't.
up. Don't get hung up on the word presupposition here. All I'm simply saying to you is, in order to invoke facts in terms of their actuality and intelligibility, they're going to require a ultimate metaphysical context. Whether that context is external to it, or that ultimate context is that the thing in question is self-contained. Okay, so for example, God requires no independent or external context because God is defined as being self-contained and unconditionally non-dependent. Okay?
Yeah. All I'm saying is that nobody has to like choose a thing that is true or a metaphysic to use a proposition. They don't have to presuppose anything.
No, no,
It's
they
just a
most
proposition.
you're not understanding because then they do have to presuppose it. It would have to be um, even as an enthymeme. Okay, otherwise it won't have interpretability. Okay. In other words, it would terminate in a brute fact, and if it terminates in a brute fact, there is no rhyme or reason or explanation as to why a brute fact. Therefore, everything that derives from that will have no explanation.
Yeah, so when I
Okay.
say that somebody doesn't need to presuppose a true thing, a metaphysic, that doesn't mean that the metaphysic doesn't exist. I'm just saying that whoever's
No,
making the
no,
proposition
you're
doesn't
not
know what it is.
understanding. If what you have to do is you're going to have to identify and defend. Okay. Do you know who Cornelius Van Til was?
Yeah, vaguely.
Yeah, he's a famous Christian apologist, theologian. He got a PhD in philosophy from Princeton University. He said that brute facts are mute facts. That's one of his aphorisms. Okay, a brute fact is something that is stipulated to be without any explanation, either externally or internally, as to why it exists. Do you agree with that definition?
I do, but I'm not talking about brute facts.
Okay. Well, here's the problem. When you invoke a fact, right? The fact will either be invoked as either a brute fact or not a brute fact. Okay. And that the not brute fact would come under the category of a created fact. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
So either any fact in question will be categorized as a created fact
Most cases,
or not.
force
And if
restart
it's
your
not,
device.
then it will be categorized as a brute fact. So what we have here is a true dichotomy. A fact will either be a created fact or it will be a brute fact.
Yep.
Now, if you want to try to attack the true dichotomy, it's not going to work. Okay? Because then if you say that well, it's not created but it's not brute, then you're going to have to tell me what does it ultimately derive from? What does it identify it and defend it? But you see, then if it's a brute fact and it has an identifiable ultimate source, then it no longer is a brute fact.
Yeah, so I'm not talking about brute facts. I'm talking about whether or not a proposition or premise needs to
Okay,
presuppose something.
is the proposition invoking something that's actual and intelligible?
What do you mean by invoking? If it's like grounded by something, there has to be
I'm
something for.
saying is you're giving me a proposition about something that's real.
Yeah, you
I'm
don't have
not
to know what
interested
it's
in
being.
I'm not interested in people telling me things that aren't real. Okay.
Yeah, so my point is that just because you make a proposition doesn't mean you need to kind of put your cards on the table or choose a
Okay.
metaphysic that makes the thing real.
Can you get closer to your microphone because I'm having trouble understanding it.
Yeah, my baby's screaming. That's why. So
How
my
old is
point is that
hold on a second. I've made many babies myself. How old is your baby?
he's almost 9 months.
9 months. That's a fun age. That's a fun
Yeah,
age.
that's good.
You know, what you need
Yeah,
to
so
do is stop feeding them a little bit after they're 12 years old, and then they're less of a problem.
yeah, there you
Yeah, that's a joke.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's one for you. This is a maxim that I learned from my brother before I had children. and he had a couple of kids before I did. He said to me, when you're changing diapers, always, no, it was never change a diaper when you have boys with your mouth open.
Yeah, I've made that mistake already.
Yeah, that happened to him. Fortunately, that never happened to me. So, okay, so
Yeah, my kid
if
never
we're
had a
going,
stream.
a fact will either be a created fact or it will be a brute fact. Okay, so
Yep.
right now, since you recognize that it's a true dichotomy, you couldn't invoke a fact otherwise.
So what do you mean by invoke? Do you mean that the agent needs to think about what the fact is derived from?
No, that it would not. Okay, if we say that a fact can only a fact or a putative proposition, it can only exist in either the God world or the not God world. So there's not a third realm that it could exist in.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so that's when we get back to it's either a created fact or it's a brute fact.
So is God a
Okay.
brute fact?
No, because God, a brute fact is a fact that is invoked that it does not have an explanation either within itself, being self-contained, or externally to itself. So God is not a brute fact.
God's a self-referential.
So then is God a created fact?
No, he's self-referential.
No, I just explained to you that God is what we're talking about all facts that are not God, sir. That's the context. Okay.
Yeah, so I just don't see
So
how
then it's not a
premise-
true dichotomy?
All facts will either derive within the God world as a conceptual scheme or the not God world. So God himself will be within the conceptual scheme of the God world. Okay.
Darth, can I quote you?
Yeah. Well, you know what's amazing? Why you guys care so much to quote me? Isn't that interesting? I'm blushing here that you would actually write me down and memorize what I say.
I didn't write you down. I have a pretty good memory. I'm pretty young.
Okay, go ahead. Now, before
Okay.
you do, are you an atheist or a theist?
I'm a deist.
You're a what?
A deist.
A theist or a deist?
D as in Derek.
Okay, a deist. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So you've said in the past, verbatim, that you're notorious for explaining your position.
Hold on a second.
Are you?
Yeah. Did I just speak with you just recently?
You spoke with me like 7 months ago in politics
Did
and
I?
religion.
I didn't speak with you today.
No, you spoke to me a long time ago in politics and religion,
Oh,
but I
so
got
you're
banned.
not. So you're not Asian?
Who?
Yeah. Okay. So you're lying now.
No, what?
Okay. Hey, guess what, Asian? Guess what? You lied to
What?
me. Now, yeah. Nice try. Okay, there you go. Now you're banned. Okay. Now, next time I hear your voice and I recognize it, I'm gonna ban you. Okay. Yeah. What a liar. Okay. Okay. Sorry about that distraction. Uh, your name at the cool. Okay. Cool. Okay. So when we're talking about facts that are not within the category of God Himself, the fact will either be a created fact or a brute fact. Okay.
Sure.
So when I say all facts, I think some people are taking advantage of the fact that I had an unstated premise there. Okay. So for the sake of brevity, I'll say all facts. I could say all facts that are not God. Okay. Okay. All facts that are not God will either be a created fact or a brute fact. Okay. Now, do you want to agree or disagree with that?
No, I agree with that. Yeah, what I disagree with before is that premises had to be presupposed. That's just not how they work. They're just parts of arguments that you can use to.
No. Okay. So it's okay. Well, a premise will be invoking something that is putatively a fact, right?
Okay, so if you want to, yeah, if you're going to say facts and whatever
Otherwise,
world
we're
you
just
need-
what we're just talking about just some idea. Okay.
Well, they'll have truth conditions if that's what you mean.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah,
I
I would
always
just say fact.
Bolia, I always appreciate you jumping in here because you're really smart in those areas. Thank you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no problem.
yeah. So the point is, facts are going to require context, right? And if the context is not God himself, that it's a created fact, that God is the ultimate reference point, God is the ultimate context, then what we're dealing with then is a fact that is categorized as a brute fact. But if it's a brute fact, it's uninterpretable, okay? Because
So not
there's
to
no,
confuse.
what?
Why does it have to be either God or brute fact? It could be God or
No, I
some
can't,
other kind of fundamental ultimate thing.
I said, well, a fact will either reside in a God world or a not God world. That's a true
Right.
dichotomy. Okay.
Right.
So when we talk about all facts that are not God, they'll either be created facts or they'll be brute facts. Okay. Now
Well, I mean,
the problem for brute facts, as Van Til put it, now you got to remember, Van Til was a brilliant philosopher, and he correctly extrapolated that if something is without identifiable reason as to why it is, then everything that derives from that is equally uninterpretable. So something that's uninterpretable is not intelligible. Now,
yeah, I just don't see how that follows.
okay, well, intelligibility does not mean like if suppose suppose I made something up and I called it the Blue, right? And you and I recognize that it does not exist, right? Now, I could give you certain characteristics to it that you may be able to understand, or it's intelligible to you, but it won't have intelligibility in terms of the intelligibility being grounded in something that's ultimately real that provides for its realness. In other words, there would be
Yeah.
no rhyme or reason as to what or why it is.
So that's my point. I don't see how you could say that necessarily has to be Christian God or any mind. Why can't it be something else?
Hold on a second.
And also, I think God is just a brute
Hold
fact.
on a second. I was looking at a message. Could you repeat what you just said?
Yeah, what did I say? Yeah, my issue is that I don't see why it necessarily has to be Christian God. Why couldn't it be something else? If you're going to say something else, it's just a
Well,
brute fact.
we haven't gotten there yet. Okay. Okay. We haven't gotten there yet. Okay. So you're jumping ahead here. So my point is this, right? That if you don't posit that a putative fact is a created fact, then it's going to be a brute fact, which will be render it a mute fact. It will be uninterpretable.
Yeah, I
Okay,
don't see how that follows.
let me tell you. Let me show you why it follows. Okay, and I'll show you by showing you the reverse. Okay, so in the God world, okay, when facts are created by God, they start in the mind of God, and then they're imposed by God's will. They're instantiated, and then they're sustained. So, because God is the creator of all facts, then God is the first interpreter, right?
Okay, sure.
Under that conceptual scheme, God is because he's the creator, he is the sole interpreter. So if we have an interpretation of a fact that isn't commensurate with what God thinks about it, how God interprets it, right? Then our interpretation is false. Okay?
Yeah, I'll have to hear an argument for that. I don't see how that follows necessarily.
No.
I'm not saying it's
It follows, listen to me.
impossible.
It follows within the conceptual scheme. Okay? So
Of
in the
the
God
worldview? Oh,
world,
sure.
yeah, it follows from within the worldview, is my point,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, cool.
Okay. So a fact will only be interpretable in virtue of the fact in terms of what and why it is, because it starts in the mind of God and it's restricted by the mind of God. Therefore, a fact in a God world can only be actual and intelligible and interpretable unless we acknowledge God, and then it derives from the mind of God and it coheres to how God interprets it. Now, if you reject that conceptual scheme, right, then there is no ultimate reference point to make the brute fact in question, interpretable. What is the reference point that provides for the interpretability of the putative fact?
I have no idea. My issue is that I don't
I
see
think
that
you
necessarily.
start all over.
Oh, I have no idea what it is. My issue is that I don't see how it necessarily has to be God.
Okay, do you have a
Christian God.
justification? Do you have a justification how brute facts are interpretable?
How they're interpreted? No, I don't know the metaphysic.
Okay, so what I'm saying to you is brute facts are uninterpretable. That is why Cornelius Van Til, with a PhD in philosophy, said brute facts are mute facts. There's a reason why he coined that aphorism. Brute
Yeah,
facts
but
are mute facts. Do you think that he was poor at philosophy? Do you think he would make such an aphorism that was utterly stupid and false?
well, I would need to hear an argument for it, not just a
Okay,
worldview.
so
I mean,
okay, so you do not accept that brute facts are mute facts, right?
no, I don't see the why they have to be.
Okay, so do you understand that a mute fact is nothing can actually be grounded intelligibly about it?
Yeah, I'm asking for the argument for that.
Right. No, you don't. Okay. How, if nothing intelligibly can be said about it, then it's mute.
Yeah, but I'm asking for the argument about how it's definitely unintelligible without Christian God.
Because why? Because there's no reference point that is identifiable to show what and why something is.
Well, that doesn't mean that there isn't something that could do that, right? Just because
Oh
it's not
no, no.
identifiable.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem. Okay. Now, if you do not accept that God is the necessary precondition, that the mind of God is the necessary precondition of actuality, interpretability, and intelligibility, if you don't accept that, then you're going to have to put on the table what the alternative is.
Yeah, I don't see how that follows.
No, you're not understanding because you are presupposing the negation of that facts are only interpretable from because it derives from the mind of God. Is it your position then that facts are interpretable independent of the mind of God?
Well, what I'm saying is that I don't see why it's logically impossible.
You're not understanding why the issue is not logical possibility, is that you don't
Why
have
not?
a metaphysical basis for it.
Yeah, I don't see why I would need to know what the metaphysic is.
Right, because then the putative fact in question, the brute fact, there would be nothing to explain what it is or why it is.
I mean,
Do you,
how can you say that? I
can,
need
you-
to hear
can,
the
can you
argument
can
for
you
that.
give me a fact that is a brute fact that is interpretable?
I'm not sure how I would do that, but you're making a positive claim that it
Okay,
has to be from Christian God, so I need to hear an
right,
argument
right.
for that. I need to
That's
take it
right.
seriously.
Because then there would be nothing identifiable or defensible as to what is ultimate, unless what is ultimate that grounds the actuality, interpretability, and intelligibility of the given fact, unless it is a mind, and a mind that has a sufficient property set and reveals that it exists, right? Then there cannot be an identification and a defensibility of that which is ultimate. Now,
So that's a claim, but why is it logically necessary?
okay. Why do you keep on why do you keep on introducing the word? Why is it logically necessary? Okay, what I'm saying to you is metaphysically. Okay, I'm not introducing saying that there's a per se a logical problem, and you just keep on inserting that person that caveat there, which leads me to believe that somebody's feeding you lines and DMs. Okay,
No,
because I've
I'm
heard
playing
I've,
with my
I've
data.
heard this before. Okay, so the issue isn't a logical one; it's a metaphysical one. Okay. Either
Yeah, so
something either something exists derivatively or something is self-contained. Okay, it's a true dichotomy. Now,
right. My issue is
it's
why does it have to be Christian God?
okay. Okay. Well, first of all, before we begin with, because the Christian God uh, has to have all great making properties in order to ensure, okay, to facilitate that we can know that he exists. Okay. For example, what if it was a God who was not always truth revealing? Okay. Then you could
Yes.
never know in any belief state, okay, things that you believe about that anything is real or not. So, for
So
example, in the Christian worldview, the entire creation is revelatory of God. So, just to give you an example, when you look at the moon, every time you look at the moon at night, from within the Christian worldview, you are experiencing a revelation from God within that conceptual scheme. Okay. Now,
So I think I see you're
do you
trying to make some kind
understand?
of
Do you understand? Listen to me. Do you understand that everything that you become acquainted with, right, in the Christian worldview, is revelatory of God? Now, unless God within that conceptual scheme is always truth revealing, right, and you posit that what you encounter is a product of another God who is not always truth revealing, you will never be able to know what you are coming into contact with fits in accordance with the laws of logic. So what I'm going to ask you right here now is, okay, so I'm picking up that you do not accept the Christian worldview. Is that correct?
I don't find it to be definitely true. I mean, mine's
Okay,
open.
so what is your worldview then?
My worldview, I don't make any positive claims about a metaphysic. I just stop at the
Okay,
presuppositions.
then everything you say is metaphysically unintelligible.
Well, I haven't made any metaphysic claims, so yeah, I guess
Okay,
so.
you got to get close. No, listen to me. Every time you open up your mouth, you're making certain truth statements, aren't you?
Sure.
If you say, "I'm not making any claims," that's a claim.
No.
Now,
I didn't make any claims about the metaphysic reality, right? What the
you
actual
must.
metaphysic
Okay,
is.
well, we're going to have to discuss that. That's simply false. Okay, if one claims, "I make no declaration about ultimate reality," is that your position?
Yeah, metaphysically, yeah.
Okay, that's incoherent. That's a self contradiction because you cannot suspend judgment about what is ultimate. Okay, that is an impossibility. Right.
Yeah, I don't
So,
see how that follows.
well, I'll explain why it follows. Okay, you have already decided that God, as the ultimate grounding for facts, is unworthy of belief, haven't you?
No, nope. I did not say that. I think it's perfectly
Okay,
rational and
okay.
reasonable.
No.
My
Good.
issue
Then
is
why?
that
If it's perfectly rational, why don't you believe it?
because I just don't believe it. I mean, when I say it's rational, I
Oh,
say,
okay. So, do you believe? Okay, so now we're talking about what you believe. Right now, do you believe that God, that all the facts that you're acquainted with necessitate referencing the necessity of God? Do you believe that?
no, I don't hold that belief. So can
Okay,
you
so
ask me the other way
okay,
now?
okay. What's the
Can you
other
ask
way?
me the converse? So can you say, do
No, no.
you
Okay,
believe?
I've talked with you before. This is the same argument. Okay, when you
I've
invoke
never said
facts,
this to you
because listen
before.
carefully. You see, I'm familiar with this tactic. People have tried to pull it on me before.
Oh,
Okay,
you're not allowed to speak.
so listen carefully. Okay, when you invoke facts,
Can
is
I
it
say a
with
sentence?
listen to me. When you invoke facts, is it with reference to the necessity of God?
I don't know. It could be.
No, I didn't ask you what you know. I'm asking you what you believe.
I believe that I don't know.
Okay, no. Listen, okay. Look. If you're going to pull this
Oh, I'm
shtick,
sorry.
we're
Sorry,
going
you're
to
right.
end real quickly. Okay.
You're right. No, I don't hold the
Do
belief that
you?
they do. Yeah,
Okay.
let me finish. Yeah, I don't hold the
Okay.
belief that they reference. I don't hold that belief.
When you
But
invoke
then, can you ask
facts,
me the other way, please?
yeah. First of all, your mic quality is terrible. I'm struggling trying to understand you. Okay. When you invoke facts, okay, are your facts without explicit or implicit referencing the necessity of God? I'm waiting. Maybe he's fixing his microphone. See, what he wants to do is he wants to play this little game. Oh, I don't know. I'm not believing facts depend upon God. I'm not believing that they don't. But we can very easily disabuse him of this just by saying, when you invoke facts, does it explicitly or implicitly, is it with reference to the necessity of God? And that formalization cannot be evaded.
Okay, here we go. So can you ask a question again?
Yeah. When you invoke facts, are they explicitly or implicitly with reference to the necessity of God?
I don't know. I have no
I
idea.
didn't ask you if you know. I'm asking you what you believe. When you invoke facts, do you believe that they are with reference to the necessity of God? Do you have that belief?
No, I don't have that belief that.
Thank you very much. That's all we need to know now.
Well,
Okay,
can you
so
ask me the other
now,
way?
So hold on a second. No, because you see, here's
Why
what
not?
we found out. Because if you said I don't believe they're without reference,
Just ask me the
okay,
other way.
you would be lying, okay? Because if you don't either your belief about facts will either be with reference to God or it will be without.
Yeah,
And
I
if you
agree, but ask
okay,
me the
good.
other way.
And right. And so then you do believe that you invoke facts they are without reference to God.
No, so ask me the other way, please.
Okay,
Darth,
okay,
why
all
don't
right.
you humour him and ask him
You
the
know
other
what?
way?
We're done with your trolling tactics, sir.
Well, can
Okay,
I say a
you are
couple sentences,
no.
please?
We're done with your bullshit. Okay,
I
because
think you're
what you're
just being
trying to do. No,
dishonest here, man.
listen to me. No, I've been. You know what? I've talked with you before about this, and you've tried the same shtick again. Okay?
Actually, no,
What
I've
you're
never
trying-
said this to you.
What you're trying. Well, okay, then I had a conversation with somebody who spoke identically like you did on this matter. What you're trying to do is, out of an act of desperation, you're trying to claim that you're simply suspending judgment. You're not suspending judgment. Okay,
Well,
is it your position that you are suspending judgment about God?
yeah, I am. But can you
Okay,
ask me the
now
other way? The way you asked the other
let
question,
me ask you a question.
please. Why are
Do
you
your
avoiding?
fact. Okay, all right. Have a nice day. You're done. Okay.
Wow,
Yeah. Wow.
even
Goodbye.
my 8-month-old baby can see
Okay.
this.
Yeah. Okay. No. Okay. No. You're. Listen. There's no point in conversing and debating when you're going to be this transparently deceptive. Okay.
Good kid.
Now it's very simple, right? You believe that your facts are spoken without reference to God, because you do not invoke facts with reference to the necessity of God. And for you to say that you don't believe in either is complete deceit and dishonesty. Okay? Either your the facts that you invoke, either it will be with reference to the necessity of God or it will be without. And if you say that your facts are not invoked with reference to the necessity of God, then by default, there's only one other option vis-a-vis the law of excludability. Then your facts are invoked without referencing the necessity of God. Okay?
Darth, he got a little rhetorical jab in there because now we're all wondering why we don't ask the other way. He like now it's ruminating in the room.
I'm not understanding your point.
Yeah, it's lingering.
It's lingering. The fact that you wouldn't ask him the other way. He kind of got a rhetorical jab in there.
No, because you see, I'm not going to grant this little verbal kabuki dance that he doesn't believe either, because it's a deception on his part. He certainly believes that he invokes facts without reference to God. And if he says that he doesn't believe either, he's lying. Okay? That is a lie. Okay? Even a child can see that this is a lie. This is a pure desperate act of
I think a child
deception.
saw through your lie, actually.
What's that? What's that, Ken? So are you heckling me, Ken? Okay, yeah. Bye, Ken. You're not welcome in my room. Okay. So Ken is a mod, but he wants to come in here and he wants to heckle me, but he has teeny tiny little testicles because he doesn't want to repeat what he said heckling. Okay. The fact of the matter is,
I think he said that you were alive.
I was what?
I think he
listening.
said that you were alive. Well, no, I was just
Yeah, your microphone
saying
is,
that he.
quality is really
I
bad.
think he said that you were alive.
Look, either if you don't believe that the facts that you invoke are with reference to the necessity of God, then you will believe it is without reference to God. Okay? Either your facts that you invoke are with I could answer it in a different way and still expose the deception. Either the facts that you invoke are with reference to God, or they are without reference to God. Now, his first response when I asked that way was, "I don't know." I mean, this is the height of deceitfulness. Okay?
But you could. So, what would be the problem with saying, yes, either it implicitly relies on either it relies on God or it doesn't rely on God, and it either relies explicitly or implicitly. But couldn't you think that like you
No,
couldn't you think that there's like an implicit reliance that you don't know about, that you're like unaware of because you haven't reflected enough or something?
The issue is not what they know. The issue is what they actually believe. Okay, so if you, for example, if you read in the Theory of Christopistemology by Cornelius Van Til, he goes at length dissecting the agnostic claim, and he points out that the agnostic is claiming not to make a judgment about God, but he has made a judgment about God because he feels that he can invoke facts without the necessity of invoking God or referencing God. Okay? He's decided that he can do without both. Okay? So he has made a judgment that he can do without invoking God, because he says, well, I'm not invoking either. Yeah, they're right. But so you've made a judgment that you can do without invoking God, either explicitly or implicitly.
So okay, you think so? Is the position then that like it's incoherent that your claim could implicitly reference God, but you don't know that it does?
It doesn't matter. See, this is the problem.
Or sorry, you don't have a judgment that it does.
Yeah, what he's done is they want to hide behind. Oh, I don't know, or I don't believe either. Okay, when he says he doesn't believe either, that's a lie that a child can see through. Okay, it's an act of utter desperation to not acknowledge what your real position is. Okay, so he has made a judgment is that he can do without invoking either, right? But when you decided that you can do without, you are holding judgment from God. All right, I'll be back.
What if I just can't know or detect that? I can't. How do I detect whether facts are?
I'm debating. Well, you see, Abe, you just haven't reached that cognitive development yet.
Okay.
Yeah, so the issue here is that he didn't want to ask me the other way. He doesn't want to say, do you hold the belief that facts do not depend on God? Because he knows I'll say no. All of a sudden, I'm like a theist, right? He's just being
right. And then going past that, I would say, well, like Barth just crushed, right? How I don't know how I would detect it either way. How do I detect that? Either way.
Well, detecting it is understanding the world around you. And if you haven't reached that cognitive development yet, like I said, sometimes people are stuck in this teenage or this young man mentality, and they think they know everything and they haven't done anything.
But don't you think agnosticism is actually a cure to that?
That was really uninformative.
Well,
I mean,
I'm just
talking about what are the methods
you just don't understand any method. You don't have a worldview.
So,
your dogma is just to disagree with anyone that says that they believe in God without any
that's
proof.
not the case.
Oh my goodness!
But here's something to also think about. Let's say I believe that facts that a God doesn't exist, but my beliefs don't point to knowledge. They just point to what I believe from the knowledge I have. So it doesn't mean I'm right. Just because I believe facts, if I believe that
this
facts
is so
don't